Today we have Mr. Ravi Shankar Malla with us, who has over 13 plus years of experience in the field of cybersecurity. Over the course of his career, he has been involved in building and running multiple enterprise level SOCs while taking care of both perimeter and internal security of these setups. He also enjoys real life experience of various security related technologies such as CM, SOAR, IPS, firewalls, vulnerability management, anti APT solutions, etc. So over to you, Mr. Malla, and thank you for taking the time out today.
Thanks, Utkarsh. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope all of you are healthy and wealthy at this point of time, considering the situation. So today we are going to have a very interesting topic, and the topic talks about the things that we're seeing these days. If we just open up our chats and newspapers a little while back, we notice that there are many security incidents which are triggering and they're making it to the headlines. This could be the latest breach which happened with one of the leading security organization itself, or this could be things from other technology related industries which are out there. Now, as Utkarsh very rightly mentioned, security is the number one priority, the numero uno, when it comes to CISOs, because till the time we're not able to protect our infrastructure, taking it to the next level is obviously something that we can't even start thinking about. And keeping all this in mind, we build different plans. We, start our team in a way that we want to execute them to the finest of the ways possible. And then we design everything around that. Now, this is the most critical part where teams find it difficult on understanding what are the next steps, on understanding who should be the people who are involved. And once everything is being designed in a way to actually have these people onboarded while responding to an incident, keeping everybody in sync while things are going on, becomes a very difficult activity. Now, what we're going to talk about today, and we're going to have a very quick demonstration of this functionality also, is IBM Resilient technology, which is capable of orchestrating and automating your response when it comes to critical security related incidents. Now, why do we want to actually do this kind of a thing? Why there is a need to optimize the security? Because what we are seeing, and as I was discussing also, the number of attacks which are happening, the complexity of these attacks are growing. So we see increasing number of volumes of the complexity for the attack. So basis on a survey, we've realized that 65% of the attacks which we see these days are complex in nature, and they're not like the random attacks that we used to see maybe 10 years down the line or 15 years before. Those things have gone by, and what we are seeing targeted attacks, we're seeing attacks which are crafted for your organization, which are planned in such a way that they can do maximum damage to your infra. On the other hand, what we're facing is, with this complexity and everything going up, we don't have the right amount of skill set to actually take care of such kind of activities, which makes our life even more difficult. Because if there is an incident happening, I have my technology and everything in place, but I don't have the right amount of people or the right set of people who can actually respond to these things. Till then, my life is very difficult. With compliances in place, we are now also time bounded on how soon we have to respond to an incident. So for you to be in industry, for you to be complied to the rules and regulation of that industry, you now have time limitations. You can take an example of GDPR, the most talked about. If you have a breach, you have to report within 72 hours. And if you are not able to do so, then there's a problem. I was just reading a little while back, the most talked about thing right now is the corona vaccine. One of the organizations who are working on this corona vaccine, which is Moderna, they have recently come out with the information that their research papers on this vaccines have been accessed digitally during one of the breach. Now, they are bound to give this information within a stipulated time frame, as they're the organization who falls under the European system. Similarly, for other organizations, banking has their own, SLAs. Healthcare industry has their own SLAs. So everything is then, something which needs to be factored. Now, going back to this Moderna incident, they fall under GDPR. They fall under HIPAA also because it's a healthcare industry. So there are multiple, compliances that might come to one single organization. And the other problem that we see on a very regular basis is to solve the first three problems, organization buy more and more products to ensure that these products will help make their life easy. But if you look at the reverse of the whole thing, complex attacks, quick time to respond, lesser number of people, and many devices to handle. They are actually doing exactly what we were not expecting them to do. They are actually adding to our difficulties of responding to security operations. Now, this is where we need a tool which can minimize the duration and impact of this attack, which can optimize our security operations. I don't want my staff to be doing same activity over and over again and eventually end up being bored. I don't want them to be fatigued. I want to address the right things. If HIPAA is my priority, if PCI is my priority, if NERC is my priority, I should be doing that. I should not be responding to something else. And I want to ensure that whatever I have bought, I should be able to leverage the return on the investment. So how can we actually do it? And that is where IBM Security Resilient comes into the picture. Because we are talking about responding with confidence. Now, how will you have confidence while responding to a security incident when you know things are in control? Who's going to help you? The automation and the intelligence that the system is gaining from multiple thread feeds, enrichment that he has performed, investigations that have happened from different devices. And how will you be able to pass this information with each other? You're going to collaborate. You're going to collaborate with your teams. This could be application team collaborating with data security team, collaborating with network security team. And this has to be consistent. Mind you, we can't change our pattern to responding to incidents every time. There has to be a set pattern for every kind of a thing. If DOS happens, I need to do all these activities. If a malware activity is happening, I should be doing X, Y, Z amount of activities. I just cannot be trying every time because trying is not a bad thing. But when I try, I change the way I do things. Sometimes it might fly, I'll get 100 out of 100, but sometimes I might flunk also. And I can't go into the risk of getting flunked. And that is where we need to respond with confidence. We should be able to automate, but with intelligence. Now, this thing over here, rings a bell. And how it does it, I'll tell you. People say, I want to automate everything, reduce, work for my L1. I, I, I don't want them to be doing things like this. But answer me or answer yourself. Do we really want to automate everything without intelligence? Should I just see an IP address and block it? Or should I actually get a context around this IP address, get a risk score around this IP address, try and understand what actually could have happened, and then take my action? Because I just cannot automate things. It's like automated car. I mean, without taking a name, you guys would have seen there was a video of one of the organization's CEO actually standing in front of the automated car, and he was very confident that the brakes will get applied. But the car could not detect the individual and actually ran over this guy. And he was the head of design. Now, we don't want to do things like this. We want that it's going to be a very beautiful combination of human and machine. So human and machine combined together while responding to security incidents and collaborating with teams which are very much essential for the organization's roles and responsibilities. So how do you respond to an incident with confidence? As you can see over here, these are some screenshots from the Resilient dashboard, which we are going to see in live action also in a while. If I get an IP address, if I get a URL, a hash, a username, if I have more intelligence around it, maybe something coming from a thread feed, or something that I can get from my CMDB database, or maybe if I have a username, if I can get some details around him from the Active Directory. So when I have insight about any of the incident, it makes my life pretty easy, because now I know what could be the possible things which are happening, in what could be the possible things I should be doing. And that is where I ignite a level of confidence in my response process, which actually empowers my team, which makes them believe that, okay, while this is happening, these are the certain things that I should be doing. If I know that there are incidents which are happening and have higher risk ratings, have more information around it, I know that I need to prioritize the incidents, because I'm getting complete visibility of what's happening. I'm getting a relational graph between these incidents. Now, the other thing that we were talking about was automation. Now, whenever you hear about SOAR technology, people will come and say, I'll automate the whole thing. But how? So automation is actually a subset of orchestration. And you know, if you want to understand orchestra, this orchestration thing, imagine you're in a kind of an opera kind of an environment where there's this guy who's guiding the whole orchestra to play music. So with everybody doing their part, the pianist playing the piano, the guitarist playing the guitar, and everybody doing their own thing, this guy is the one who's actually ensuring that the right individual comes into the frame when the right note is required. And he is then guiding people to do different activities while they're making a symphony out of them. So is the case, when it comes to responding a security incident. Every device has its role. Antivirus would give you detail about the endpoints. Firewall will help you block uh, IP addresses. A URL will let you know what are the URL activities which are happening, what kind of URLs I want to block and all. IPS will give you signature related information. So while you're responding to one security incident, there could be multiple devices that will come into the picture, and you have to actually have a streamlined and an automated process to do such kind of activities in a repetitive manner. So let's say IP comes, I want to check repetition. A URL come, I want to check repetition. A username comes, I want to see who this belongs to. Internal IP address pops up, I want to know who this belongs to, what are the department and everything. If I want these repetitive and activities to take place, I don't want my technical people doing this. So can the system do it for me? And that is what we want to achieve. Whereas when I have all this information available, to click the final button, I want an individual should make a decision. Okay, my analyst can come in. If I want this also to be automated, yes, the solution has very much capabilities of almost automating every activity which is out there. But then while we are doing the orchestration process, I always believe that we should have a very good combination between what are the response processes, what are the actions that I'm going to take, what are the information that I have, and with the intelligence of machine and human, we take actions to actually remediate the whole thing. And while everything is being done, I want my analyst. Now this could be a guy who has joined our organization, let's say a month back, and might not have such vast experience around products and topologies and everything. I want him to have guided response. So he should be aware what are the 10 things that he need to do when there is a malware activity happening. If he doesn't know how to, let's say, take action on one of the Active Directory or a firewall, I should have things in place which can actually help him do those things. A click of a button to push a firewall policy, a click of a button to actually execute a scan at the endpoint level. So I want my team to have an extended arm helping them out, and then the capability for them to actually collaborate with each other, share information, chat with each other, through a maybe a community board or something like that, and then effectively use these communication channels to share information which is relevant for response to any of the securities. So, any questions till now, Utkarsh, that we have, or should we take everything at the end?
None so far yet. We'll address questions towards the end in the last 15 minutes.
Sure. So till now, what we were doing, we were seeing what are the different, activities and all what the solution can perform. But how does it do it? I mean, it good, it's good when it's talked about, but how does it really work? So IBM Resilient is actually the center of, your next generation SOC, where you can ingest incidents from almost any kind of technology. This could be an existing SIM solution like a QRadar or a Splunk. This could be incidents which are coming from, let's say, a ticketing solution like a ServiceNow, maybe a DLP system like a Symantec, which is out there. So, based on all the logs and everything that are being collected and the offenses which are being generated on your SIM solution, you can have them escalated to Resilient. Or what you can do is you can have them directly sent to Resilient. So how does it do it? It do it basis on the REST API integrations and things like email integration, doing a manual escalation. So all those features and functionalities are very much possible. The moment an incident is generated, the solution has lots of thread feeds which are available out of the box to help it enrich content around these artifacts which have been collected. So if there was an incident coming from QRadar which says this IP address was trying to reach my critical servers, or maybe my user were accessing this URL. So what are these IP and URLs? Do I have information around it? So you can achieve that information through automated enrichment from multiple thread feeds which are available out of the box, or more integrations that are available on the App Exchange. Post that, what you can do is you can actually now take response. So you see, escalation happened, you did the enrichment part. Now, with confidence in your response, you can actually go ahead and take actions on the endpoints. So this could be, a EDR search or maybe a quarantine of a machine. This could be blocking a URL. This could be sending an email. This could be sending a file for sandboxing. So all those functionalities can take place. And what you can also do is you can do similar activities from some other devices also. So like you want to do communication, so you want to collaborate between teams, so you can maybe have a Slack chat started. You can have the tickets escalated to different IT help desks like Jira or Remedy. You can actually have a username blocked if you've got enough confidence from here. So all that things when put together, you can actually go ahead and take the blocking action also. So from the point where the incident was actually coming to the SOC to the point where it is getting blocked, the whole life cycle process of an incident can be managed through a Resilient platform. And in the demo that we have planned, in the next 5 to 7 minutes, we'll see how this whole process works in real time. So what all functionalities are there? So a quick glimpse. So Resilient has multiple modules. The advantage is that we're not, binding anybody to actually go ahead and have the whole functionalities when the same is not required, maybe for every customer. So we have, apart from the base thing which can run on-prem, which can run on SaaS, and even as a part of our cloud pack for security, we have additional add-ons like team management, giving you multiple role-based access functionality. We have the disaster recovery functionality. So you can set up in active passive mode across data centers. You can have a non-production setup done. So so that you don't have to go with a direct implementation. You can do your implementation, test it, run it for a while, and then move it into production. Even for the our partners who are actually offering this as a service further to their customers, we have a MSSP module which lets them run multiple customers at one point of time and manage them together. Also, what we have is a state of art privacy module. Now, privacy module is something that you don't hear very frequently from anybody else, because this is our USP, where for every kind of incident we have details available basis on the legality and jurisdiction of that incident. So if something happens in, let's say, US, UK, or let's say something happens in Dubai or any of the locations, the ticket will be generated based on location, and then you will have all the detail around what are the steps that you need to take to actually be compliant to the local jurisdiction. Or if you belong to a PCI sector, or you belong to a GDPR based setup. So what are the things that you need to do to actually comply to all these things? So a guided response will trigger basis on all the input that it has received, and then making your life much easier while responding to your security incidents. So as I was talking about the breach part, we almost have 170 plus global regulations, which can actually help us understand what are happening. This is based on all the security and privacy related compliances which are out there. So as you can see, GDPR, PIPDIA, HIPAA, CCPA, and around 50 such state related breach informations are there. We also have complete simulation capabilities. So before actually going ahead with a new playbook or a workflow that we have created, we can simply run this through our simulation and actually have it tested of the efficacy that we have built around this response, and how effectively this can be used in future when we are responding to security scenarios. So that makes us very, very flexible and agile in nature. As I was saying, the MSSP and MDR providers can have multiple customers managed from a single dashboard. They can have a single centralized configuration manager, which allows them to actually track and perform changes in their customer premises, thus making their life much easier and simpler. Many organizations which have multiple sister concern companies and everything, they also want to have this kind of a visibility. So, even they can leverage this functionality amongst them. So when we talk about orchestration, one thing that comes to our head is how are we going to do that? And what are the different things which are, available out there? So from the point of escalation, as we were seeing in that matrix, escalation, it could be enrichment, this could be a response process, or maybe communication that we need to perform to coordinate amongst teams. All these are available with the help of multiple apps that are hosted in our app exchange. And these apps are actually the integrations which are available. Now the advantage of these apps are that you can actually have one of the integrations imported into the system and within no time have it running. So you get multiple playbooks and workflows, you get lots of integrations. There are even examples and SDKs available which can help you create your own integrations. If let's say there's a in-house application which is running, or something which supports API but is not supported out of the box, you can actually have your own integrations created also, thus making life pretty simple for your response process. So the app exchange that we were talking about, currently it holds around 170 plus. So this 150 has gotten a little old. So we've got around 170 plus apps which are available, and more than 300 workflows, which are there. So these workflows can very easily be added to your playbook for your response. So this gives you a lot of strength. So you have integrations with the likes of AWS, Microsoft, QRadar, Proofpoint, Slack. Lots and lots of integrations are available, which really helps you, take control of things and have a right security response plan created. What you can also achieve is, like I was talking about, this escalation could come from a QRadar. So let's say if you're an existing QRadar customer, this makes your life much easy, because QRadar and Resilient actually enjoys a bidirectional integration out of the box, which not only helps the QRadar but also the Resilient, as you can share a lot of information amongst each other, help you solving your false positive related issues. You can actually go back to QRadar and perform a lot of functions via while you're setting the Resilient console itself, and thus there is a very fine collaboration amongst the technology also happening, with you able to change a lot of things at the QRadar end. Now, this makes life very, very simple for people who are already using QRadar, and all the different things that you can perform on QRadar while you're in the console. You can have the same thing executed through commands and scripts from Resilient itself. And the similar functionalities we can actually achieve from other sim products also, because as I said, the simple thing that we require to have an integration done is a Python or a REST API based scripting, which can enable you to actually go talk to the third party device, extract information, take remediation actions, and then you know the the the, the thing that you had to perform while being logged in onto that platform, you can do it from remote itself. So this is an example of one of the customers. Okay, it's a large global pharmaceutical organization, and what you can see at the bottom, that the time that he used to take while responding to incidents without Resilient, and the time he's now seeing as a part, when the Resilient is in place. So escalations would take around 5 minutes, while with this, it's just a click of button or an automated activity. When you have to look into different devices, Active Directory, a CMDB or a IAM, you take time, because you have to hop between consoles, get some information. While with the help of Resilient, you can do it through just a click of button or have it automated. Again, when you talk from the threat intelligence feeds perspective, all those informations can be at your fingertips. So what is clearly visible over here, the activities which previously was taking a lot of time has now been done with clicks of buttons. And when you are able to save 84 minutes on one single incident, now just imagine 84 minutes on one incident. If there are 10, you're almost saving 800 minutes, and 800 minutes roughly converts into like what, 12, 6, 72, almost 14 hours. Saving 14 hours a day is like 1.5 individual. So you're freeing up time and you're freeing up resource, thus making your response process very efficient. 98.8% reduction in your response process. If you go back and do the math, you are actually saving money. So the solution is actually helping you leverage what you've invested. And this is what we saw a little while back when we were looking at things, that what Resilient will help you perform. And that's what we are actually able to see now. Now we're quickly going to jump onto my lab setup, where I'm going to show you a little look and feel of this product. And after a quick 10 to 15 minutes of demo, we will jump into the Q&A session. So please have your questions available, up and ready, and fire at me when we're done with this demo part. So I'll just log in. So as you can see, this is a web-based platform. You can simply log in into any of the device. So you don't need an agent or anything to log in into this platform. The moment I log in into this, it gives me all the details of the activities that have happened recently. So you see over here, this is the activity dashboard, and these are the news feeds that I'm getting. What are the tasks which is due? So there was a task that I was supposed to complete at 1:38, which I've not yet performed. So my bad, I'm actually running late on some of the activities. Notifications gives me all the details about the incidents that have been tagged in. So let's say when Ravi Malla log in into a system, he gets to see whatever the things he's been assigned and what are the activities that he need to do. So what I can simply do is either I can click from here or I can jump from here. So what we're going to do, we're going to click from here. So this is the incident which has been allocated to me. And what I see over here is that there are certain activities which have already been done. So before running into this, I'll show you from where we actually got this. So this is the incident dashboard, where we see that there are a lot of incidents which have been escalated from QRadar into this system. It gives me the name and the description of the incident, when this activity actually happened, what are the next due dates, what are the activities which are created, who was the actual owner of this incident. Now, when we go into this incident, this was the thing that we were talking about, the guided response. And to our benefit, there are a lot of activities which have been auto completed. Now, why this has happened? Before we see this thing, we'll jump into the detail column. Now, detail again give us a little bit more detail about what has happened, who are the team members who are part of this thing. Is this okay? So the great part is the incident has already been confirmed, that this is a confirmed incident. Now, this happens when you get a hit on the artifact, which we're going to see just in a while. Now, what we see that there have been some notes which are added. So even before the analysts actually get into the system, there are a lot of activities which have been done. So this IP address have been added from QRadar. There is okay. There is an internal user which is available. So CMDB table has been updated. We know from where this IP address is coming. The location is updated. Now, this was the internal IP, hence no information can be updated over here. The link was checked on one of the thread feeds, another thread feed. So multiple things have happened. Now, the amazing part over here is the owner was changed to me for this particular activity because there was a SA which was expired. So as we see, the incident was created at 127 and it's around 3:30 right now. So since 2 hours have gone by and this activity should have been done in 10 minutes, this has been reassigned to me. The initial owner was Kenny, but since he could perform his activities, these activities have been moved to me. Now, the other things that we can see now, this is a dedicated news feed for this particular incident. So it gives you each and every detail of what is happening while you're responding to one of the security incidents. This is something very effective when you want to keep track. And as a CISO, you need to know what are the things which are happening. We even have stats available for the individual offense and for the offenses which are performed on a holistic way also. So let's look into the artifact. We see that there are 4 different artifacts which are available, and one of the artifacts is red in color. So let us just click on this artifact and we see that this IP falls under which category. We'll just do a quick click and we see one of the engine has detected this as a malware related thing. So this would be easy to say that this is a malware based incident. We also have an internal IP, a URL, a user account. What also we saw that there was CMDB details which have been populated. So we see that there are details around this user which is there, Mike, and the department that he works in, the mobile number of this individual. So we get all the details from the CMDB database automatically, even without us needing to do anything. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to head back into the task part. And as we saw a little while back, this is a malware-based thing which is there. So what are the activities? The L1 should append the playbook type basis on the information collected from investigation performed by the system. Add the appropriate team members to this playbook. Okay, so we'll head back and we'll head into the detail section. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add a malware playbook to this thing. Now, see very focusedly over here, the moment we add a new playbook, we see that there are new activities which have been added as a part of our response process. So with every click of button and new playbooks coming into the picture, we get more detail around what are the activities that we need to perform. Now, what are we going to do is we're going to head back to task. And remember this thing, we are in the initial phase right now because we've not completed this last activity. So the moment we click this thing, we'll see that the phase will start changing. Oh, we didn't click it properly. Yeah, so the phase will start, move from initial to a different phase because now we have completed. So task mark completed and it has moved to a detect and analyze phase. The thing to notice over here is We get complete detail of the time that was spent during our investigation in each and every phase. So previously, this incident was opened at 1:27 and closed at 3:35. So 2 hours and 8 minutes was spent in this particular incident, and now we're tracking the next one. So isn't this amazing that a lot of things, what we do, we really want to know how much time it took while performing such activities. Because if we look from a CISO's perspective, there are two things. He really want things to be get done. The other thing is he really want to have the visibility of how things are getting done. I mean, if phishing is keeping my team busy the maximum, I need to know where they're taking the maximum amount of time. Maybe I can help them with getting a training of that kind of a response. Maybe I can start focusing more on, let's say, if reporting is taking too much of time, we can start doing activities to maybe reduce the reporting related activity. Or maybe too many people are there, and when this information is passed from one individual to another one, that is the place where this lagging is happening. So I can get a complete visibility of where activities are getting stuck. Now you see, the moment we changed this, there were other team members who were added. So there were two more team members who were added, and there are tasks provided and allocated to people who are supposed to do it. So one of the tasks that we see over here has been allocated to a guy named Ajay and rest to Vijay. And why is so? Because Ajay, as per our system, is the L3 guy who's responsible for the post-incident review, while Vijay is a dedicated guy of a malware team, and the malware-related activities are being handed over to him. Now, the moment we click any activity you see over here, the moment we close something, you get a completion update. You see how much progress this is doing. And you know what are the things they're saying? So they're saying block an external IP address on the firewall, block a malicious URL on the web gateway, disconnect or isolate malware infected system. Now, do I actually have to go into those devices and do this? No. The beauty is from here itself, I can jump into the artifacts and do multiple activities. So this is the complete list of activities that I am capable of performing currently with my system integrations. So you can have your own custom integrations created. You can have your integrations available in the app exchange brought into the system. And then you can utilize these functionalities. So you see over here, I can go back and tell Curator that this is a malicious IP, or I can block it on a Fortinet firewall, or maybe a Palo Alto firewall. I can have a quick scan or a shutdown executed remotely from my McAfee EDR. So there are lots of functionalities that I can achieve. If it's a URL, I can have it blocked on a web gateway. I can have it submitted and checked against different activities which are happening. So as we're talking about checking, let's see this thing. You see, there's a screenshot which is available. Now, what is this screenshot? Quickly click on it. The thing gets downloaded. When I open, this is actually the page of the URL that is in contention. So you see, without even having to open that page, I was able to have that attachment downloaded and know what exactly the page looks like. So if it is a phishing thing and I want to test it, I don't want to risk going into a system and getting infected. The integrations that I have available with me can actually go and do it on my behalf. Now, as far as the artifact tab is concerned, I'm looking at all the artifacts which are available as a part of this incident. But is this the only thing that I should be looking at, or should I be focusing a little bit to understand whether this is a larger scale thing which is happening? So the graph function over here gives me that capability, gives me the capability to understand what are the different, activities which have taken place and how are these artifacts connected to each other. So this user Mike is a very popular guy. So he's been part of 3 different incidents where he's accessing different IP addresses. He's getting different URLs, and he's doing all the possible naughty things which he could do. So this user now very much could be one of the users who might be infected or something who has been compromised. So how about I take an action. I just simply select and disable this user from here itself, because I don't want to run into the risk of this user actually going and committing more problems. But when I know that this user is actually doing these kind of things, I can quickly go and block this user from here. So as you saw, I was able to perform a quick disable of user activity from here. Now, similarly, we can take multiple actions like that. Now, in the interest of time, I'll quickly take you to the reporting functionality, and then we'll have a glimpse of a dashboard. I know, I mean, because of the shorter time, we're not able to go in depth, but this will give you a good idea about the reporting functionalities. So you can have lots of out of the box reports. So there's a summary breach report, there's executive summary, and mind you, all these reports, playbooks are based on the SANS and NIST criteria. So they are audit ready, and they reduce the burden of creating lengthy reports to actually have the whole response process captured, because everything that we were doing was getting captured over here as a part of newsfeed. We can do that. What we can also do is we can have a customized report. I don't want to have a defined report. I want to do things as per me. So I simply go and select whatever I want to. So I don't want HIPAA, I don't want regulator, I don't want records, maybe summary is something that I want to add, task list which was there. So you see, with one click of button, we are changing everything. It is giving me what was the due date, was it done on time, was it delayed, different owners which were working on it, what are the activities which were allocated. So you can simply have each and everything. And then let's say I want to remove statistics, everything. So you can have it crisp, you can have it detailed from just one click of button. You can print this report, you can export this, download it, and then email it to somebody. You can simply do lots and lots of functionality from the same console. So Resilient is not just solving your problem in terms of automation, it is helping you understand the process, getting the right people onboarded when the right activities are required, giving you the capability to actually take actions on the third party devices even without complete knowledge of how to do it on those things. Because if you want to push a policy or a firewall, you have to create an object, move it into a group, add the right protocols which are required to be blocked and everything. It usually takes 15 to 20 minutes to at least to put a policy. But with one click of a button from Resilient, you can do it within 10 seconds. And while you're doing everything like this, the boss needs to know what's happening. So when you want to know what's happening, you get to see all the things from here. So from the dashboards, you can see what playbooks are being triggered, how many incidents are there, how many of them have been closed, how many people are working on them, what are the different phases in which the incident is lying, what are the duration and everything for this incident. So all those functionalities, what is the mean time for me to respond to a particular incident, how much time is being spent in every phase for different playbooks. You get all that visibility from a single dashboard. And you want to create something new, you can simply go and add your widgets. So, in a nutshell, with the help of Resilient, we can capture the complete life cycle of the response process from the time an incident is notified to the SOC to the time the reports are created, and all the stakeholders are provided complete detail of the whole response process. Resilient will help you streamline your response process, which will be robust, which will have enough confidence, and also be agile enough to change as per the needs of your response. So guys, this was our resilient demonstration that we had planned for you today. So we are now open for any kind of questions that you want to ask regarding these products. So the floor is open.
So, Mr. Valla, we have the first question from Gaurav Saxena, who asks, what should be the security approach in an environment where the data center or server rooms are distributed across geography? And to add to that, whether consolidation first approach should be taken, and if not, then how do we make sure that existing investments are not wasted?
Hey, great question, Gaurav. Now, Gaurav, distributed data center is a need of the organization. Okay, so let's say if for any organization you have customers or you have your users across different geographies, and you want to have, for you, they are the priority. So if having the distributed data center is solving your business aim of providing them the right features and functionality at their fingertips, in the right space of mind, then we can continue with that. But to have a security, okay, behave exactly the way we want to do it, we need to cover all these data centers. So usually in distributed data centers, what happens is, these are majorly servers which might be. So let me take an example. If I have an organization which has, let's say, four different departments, and every department is taking care of a different unit. So the infra team is talking to all my suppliers, whereas the finance team is taking care of all my linkages. My marketing team is taking care of everything else, and the web interface is something which is for my users, and my users are based out of India. So there is no sense for me to have my data center like everything was in US and only the this data center is here, because I need it to be where my people need it, my users need it. Now, how do I safeguard this thing without wasting my money which I've invested? I can have multiple action processes so that I can have integration done in such a way while my central data center or the major data center will have complete visibility and control over the regional ones, but still the control is extended in such a way that I can take actions, I can do my enrichment and everything, but the whole process continue to work the way it was.
And
So, yeah.
follow, he was also asking what is the best way to build a case around security related expenditure while framing enterprise digital security.
Okay, Gaurav, okay. See, when you have to design the security infrastructure for any of the organization, we have to understand what is the business use case for us. Okay. Now, if and this could be a very wide, broad, point to discuss, because depending upon what kind of technology we have in thought. So if you're talking from, let's say, a SOC or a next gen SOC perspective, the ideology is to have visibility and control over the security related activity which are taking place. So why do I want my things to be secure is my first question. And what is going to happen if anything get exposed? So let's say if I am an organization which is having lots of IPR, so why do I need a SOC? I need my SOC so that my data doesn't go out. I want to ensure that everything stays where it is and nobody is able to get hold of it. So that is my justification to having a SOC. On the other hand, if my organization is about providing services to the customer, then my business use case becomes availability. The previous one was confidentiality, now it is availability. So if I have to ensure that my system is up and ready, now I would require devices like a firewall or a IPS to ensure that nobody is able to breach into the system, whereas my SIM and SOAR will help me in having a visibility if somebody is trying to do something like that. So the justification totally depends upon what kind of business use case that I'm looking into. What I would love to do is, if you can give us a time, we would love to understand what are the challenges that you are focusing on at this point of time, and maybe help in drafting something which you can then take up internally to have your security posture in the place where you're expecting it to be.
Perfect. So the next question is from Mr. Umesh Kalyankar, who asks, does this solution trigger auto actions of blocking as shown in the drop-down list, or is it to be done manually from the notifications?
Okay, so Umesh, we have both the functionalities available. And with my, if you ask me, I am somebody who would say I will have everything done automated but the blocking part. So the system is very much capable of taking automated actions, and if you want to execute them manually, you can do so. So as we were, going through this session, we saw that responding with confidence. So when you have all the enrichment and evidences collected, you can have it configured in such a way that if every condition of yours is met, the actions can be taken automatically, or when everything is done, the analyst can do the final action of blocking on its own. So both of them are possible.
Perfect. So the next question is from Mr. Biren, who's asking, can we have any attack pattern?
Okay. So Biren, if I'm not wrong.
Biren, yes.
Yeah. So wherein we have multiple apps available, as we were seeing a little while back also. One of the app talks about the MITRE attack framework. So what we can do is, with the integration of that app, we can actually have a clear visibility of where this attack is lying right now. What were the different kind of things which we should have done? What are the things that we have done already? So a complete linkage to the attack pattern based on the MITRE attack framework can be provided, with the help of this integration. And this integration, when I say apps and everything, this is free of cost, functionalities which are available. You just simply need to download it and execute it into the system, and then going forward, every next response process will have your apps functioning according to your need. Sorry.
Right. So the next question we have is from Mr. Shrikant Sahu, who asks, is there any coding background required for IBM SOAR?
Okay, Shrikant. See, I'll be very honest. There is no source solution in the world which will not require coding. Rest beside the reasoning, because what we're doing is, if you look at orchestration, if you look at automation, we're building logics. Okay, if this happens, we should be doing this. And we all are from technical background. The moment we say if, we know that it's a loop, it's a conditional statement that is coming into the picture. So yes, we would require some level of coding. With these apps and functions which are already built in, what they do is they take away that hard work which is required to actually create the whole base and everything. When you ingest all these apps and all, you have to do basic things like passing the parameters, giving the information on input and everything. But if somebody comes to you and say tomorrow we can do the whole thing without coding, we all know it's not possible. So yes, there is a little bit of coding required, but not for every activity. So the thing that we saw a little while back in my demo, there was hardly 1 or 2% of coding which was done to get that whole activity in place. So if we really wanted to go into a complex scenario, build a workflow and do kind of things, we even have a drag and drop functionality available for workflows. So if you download an integration which is available on the App Exchange, you just need to do a drag and drop and create your workflows and just pass the basic parameters. So it's like, int a is equal to so and so number and all that kind of a thing. And Python, mind you, is a very easy language with comparison to the previous ones that we have done in schools and college during our times, the C, C++ and Javas of the world. Python is relatively very easy and makes our life much, much more easier, when we have to work on technologies like this.
Right. And his follow-up question is that, does IBM SOAR give real-time threat alert and solution?
So we have some thread feeds available, so there are some like 8 odd thread feeds which are available out of the box. Now these thread feeds, what they do is, at any point of time when incident is escalated to Resilient, there are artifacts available in that. So this could be a IP, URL or things like that. And as you notice that, while you're looking into the artifacts, some of them were red in color. Now you click on that and you see that there are some details available around this. Now that detail is coming from a real-time thread. So you can have things like a alien vault, virus total, sans, IBM Exos. You can have them integrated with these kind of things. You can even have it done with third-party feeds like a Cisco or a Semantic, but obviously they are like a chargeable thread feeds. So you can very well have it integrated with lots of thread feeds. You can even have thread feeds created of your own also. So, this is very, very much possible.
Right. So the next set of questions is from Mr. Sridhar Sahu, who asks how to accelerate incident response with IBM security and what makes IBM SOAR better than its competitive companies which provide same sort of solutions.
Okay. See, at IBM, we have this, honest habit of not trying to compete or bash the other solution. Let me just tell you why Resilient does it well. I've got like, this is my 14th year in security industry. I've worked in a SOC for almost a decade, and I understand what are the things that we need to do while responding to an incident. Is it all about automation? I mean, somebody just asked me, can we automate everything? And the answer would be no. We just can't automate everything as a response process. Why? Because we need to understand that there are things which might require human intervention. With Resilient coming into the picture, we can have our standard operating procedures drafted into a response process, which is, we're combining people, we are combining technology, we're letting them collaborate with other people also. So we are ensuring that the process is there, we are ensuring that the people are there, and we are even leveraging the technology which is already there. So the fine balance between people, process, and technology is something that we are able to achieve, and that's what make Resilient, a standout product, because we're not telling you to do a complete automation which could be done by simple automation solutions also. But what we're saying is, when an incident is there, we should gain our confidence and understand what is happening, get complete visibility around it, then let the system do things they wanted to, and take away the things that we wanted to, and continue doing our response in such a way that everything is streamlined. And that's what make our life much easier. And when I say our, it is the analyst that I'm talking about. And to have a proper security response process in place, don't even think about these products first. Think about what actually you want to do. Because tomorrow you might end up buying a source solution. But if you don't know what is that you want to do, what are your business use cases, no product will be able to help you. My own honest request to all the customers that I meet, and while I'm talking to you, is don't just jump into buying a solution. A solution will never help you till the time you know what is that you want the solution to do. So previously I was doing sim for almost a decade now. People say I have bought this sim but I'm not able to get anything in it. Why? The reason is very clear. You don't have the right data sources, and if you have the right data sources, you don't know what are the rules that you want to trigger. People buy sim and eventually create rules like brute force. Do we really want to do an investment just to detect brute force? Are there other things that I really want to monitor? Simply, when we go for a SOAR product, we just don't want this product to click buttons for us. We want this product to actually help in understanding who are the right people and where are these right people when the response is taking place. So I want, if a malware incident is happening, Ravi should come in and do this activity. If a DOS related activity is happening, Utkarsh should come and be a part of my response process. And if this needs to go to the network team, let me call in the network team, have the complete information shared with them. Usually what happens, security team does their part, send it to the network team, response comes after 2 days. Is the hacker going to wait for us for the 2 days so that the team can collaborate together? No, he's going to enjoy this honeymoon time of 2 days, extract whatever he can, and by the time the teams will resolve their issues on whose responsibility it is, he's got his work done. So my humble suggestion and request is to actually have your business use cases and understand what is the problem that you're going to solve. We are here to help you understand that thing. At IBM, we believe that the customer should focus on the problem he's currently facing, and not the problems that he is not aware of. Because if you can't handle what is there at your hand, there's no doubt we might not be able to understand what might happen. So for me to have a right security process in place, I will always start with the use case. The use case will take me to the destination where I really wanted to go. So it's like a map. of the place where I want to be, and then the solution comes in.
That's actually quite informative, Mr. Malla. We have another question from Ms. Rekha Mishra, who asks, how do CISOs remain updated? I mean, do they keep the dashboard open perpetually, or is there a feature of notification getting forwarded on mobile as well?
See, Rekha, that's a very sensible question because I won't expect a CISO to actually open the dashboard because then he becomes an analyst. So what you can do is, as you saw, when we logged in into the console, there was a notification tab also available. So you can get notifications on your emails. What can also happen is that you can have periodic reports available for you. So, as we were looking into the reporting section, the analyst can maybe have at the end of the day, have a dashboard exported and sent it to your inbox, which gives you complete detail about what are the activities which were performed. Because a CISO has lots of things. There are plannings, there are activities which he need to focus upon. Now, again, I would not expect a CISO to actually sit in front of the console and see, okay, this guy is doing this, this. But yes, with the holistic dashboard capabilities that we have in in-depth reporting for critical incidents. So selectively, I mean, at the end of the day, complete dashboard can be sent over to you. It's a graphical representation. You will have lots of information. Moreover, what you can also do is for incidents with highest level of severity, reports can be generated and shared. So not at all a problem. Sharing is very simple. As you can see, these things can be exported and everything. And with coding functionalities and everything available, even the report forwarding and all can be automated. So makes life easy.
Right. We have another coming in from Mr. Chandrasekharan, who asks, any undue incidents due to automated actions affecting availability of key functionalities or percentage of false positives?
I didn't get the question. Chandrasekhar, maybe if you can explain a little bit about this question.
It is there in the Q&A section, Mr. Malla.
Just a second. I'll open it. Any undue incident due to automated action affecting availability of key functionalities. See, Chandrasekhar, this is something that we see very regularly. People saying false, talking about false positive. Now, what is a false positive? A false positive is actually a use case that we have built that we were not sure about, with a logic which should have not been there. Now, you're very right. If I automate, and that is where I said I don't want to automate everything. If I automate and I end up blocking an IP address, which could be coming from one of my legitimate user, now I end up actually affecting the service. So this is where the response process need to be drafted in a way that we have to balance out the automation and the human interaction. So 90% of the whole remediation is happening with orchestration and artifacts and everything coming into the picture, the final button being clicked when we have that confidence. Now what we also do is, even if we want to go at the automated way, every time policies and all are added into different devices, you can have descriptions added that this is something that has been pushed through a resilient. So a policy has been applied by resilient, URL has been blocked by resilient. And once you have that detail, the user would report, from 5 o'clock onward, I'm not able to do these things. So then that is where we have to do the reverse engineering to understand what were the things which were performed before this activity that could have led to this thing. So my answer to you would be, is there a percentage? The percentage is totally dependent upon what process you are following. It is not the system who's doing it, it is the process. So if you have complete automation, you might end up getting in such kind of incidents where when you're blocking everything without anybody knowing it, just the system doing it for you. So it could be, if you guys interested in Hollywood movies, this is like that Terminator thing where the system becomes intelligent and start blocking the user itself. So it is on us, that what is that we want to achieve. And there was a webinar that I did a little while back, which was the journey of orchestration. which talks about how much of orchestration do I need or how much of automation that I need. So it's a very fine balance that we have to, discuss and finalize among the team. Do I really want to automate everything?
I hope that answered your question, Mr. Chandrasekharan. And the last two set of questions we have from Dr. Amit. Now, I'm not too very sure if these are very related to IBM SOAR, but I leave
Let
the.
me just see, how can we protect an app from hacking? Our app is C2C e-commerce. Can we build an app with less code or drag and drop? Uh, so are you, if you're able to hear me, are you referring to the apps that we were talking about as a part of Resilient, or you're talking about your apps that you have for your customers? Okay.
He says both.
Okay, see, so basically the apps that we are having in our Resilient, these are not like the web-based app that we use. So, not like the Grofers and the big basket apps that we have out there. These are the inbuilt applications. So it's like an added functionality into the Resilient platform. And this is not something that is accessible from the outside world. Okay, so there is no way that somebody can come and hack into the system to get access of these apps. So they are very much secure. When you talk about your own applications which you are building, now I'm again trying to understand, are you talking about the apps that you're going to build for Resilient or your customer focusing apps? Like you mentioned that these are customer to customer kind of a e-commerce apps. Oh, okay. So I'm really sorry. I'm not a web developer. I might not be able to help you on this app building, but we can surely have our team contact you. At IBM, we almost build everything with related to IT. So maybe these guys can actually help you. Utkarsh, if you can have the connects, I can have my team, reach out to solve this problem.
I will get that thing done. I will get that thing done, sir. We've had a very good session, Mr. Malla. Thank you so much for your time. I have shared my email address with the attendees, so if there are any additional questions, I will redirect those to you as well. So you could take care of those.
Sure, sure. Would be my pleasure.
Right. Thank you so much, people, for attending and joining. And I hope you found the session very informative and interesting. If you have any questions, I've put it in the chat box. You could reach out to me on support@techjockey.com and we'll get back to you ASAP.